Hello, good evening. My name is Bita Sadanandan, and this is a live recording. Okay. Those who are attending live or participating in this live would have a live experience. Otherwise, you're having a recording of this evening um, episode, live episode of maintaining the mid thighs through the Nirbeeja Yoga method of health care. Um, Today is the 1st of March, 2026, and the time is 6:31. Um, Evening is an interesting time to pay attention to because the sun is kind of setting. So, but essentially, the day is more moving to the night. And in a few minutes, hours, it's going to be all dark in this part of the globe. I'm from South India, Bengaluru, and Srinagar, which is at a certain altitude from sea level. And so my physiological experience from this geographical location would be different than yours, wherever you are, and we are all on planet Earth. And we all have our human body as a common template. Yeah. And Nirbeeja Yoga is about maintaining our mid thighs region of the same human body experiencing physiology differently from different parts of the globe. And we are all on the same planet Earth, so that makes it convenient, easy. Um, and you have your geodecimal experience from the sea level or different um, altitudes from sea level and the physiological differences that you have from your geodecimal location. Now, the mid-thigh region is between the knee, the thigh that's close to the knee versus the thigh that is close to the hips. Now, why is this important? Because it is, well, between two attached to joints area. Yeah. And so you kind of have the bulk of the thighs, but not necessarily the bulk of muscle bundles, because there will be many bundles starting and then adding up. So some muscles have their bulk at some point, so in different directions. But some, now I'll tell you this. According to the health of your muscle bundles, if you have been sitting for too long, or if you have muscle wasting, the bulk of your muscle bundle and the strength of your thighs would vary from person to person. Okay? So if you have uh, greater use, say if you're using a crutch, then your thigh use would be less because you're more dependent on the crutch. And so your mid thighs would have lesser strength because the strength is being taken up by the crutch. Yeah. Now, if you're using your thighs more, say, for mountaineering, trekking, then the strength of your muscle bundles would be different than a person, say, who is sitting on the computer greater part of the day, greater part of weeks. And so, how much of your thigh muscles are used for strength? Uh, Chances are you'll be using your glutes. Your glutes would be having more strength than your thighs because your thighs have to take the weight of your body. I mean, your glutes have to take the weight of the body of a person who's largely sitting, versus a person who's mountaineering, trekking, would use their thighs more than their glutes. I don't know. No, the weight would be distributed because you'd be standing more and climbing. So, how do you flex your glutes versus how you flex your thighs would be different versus a person who's sitting largely. So, which muscle bundle group is more used versus other muscle groups, depending on which muscle group is more used. Yeah. If you're regularly walking, even if you're sitting for long periods of time as a software engineer or a person who's spending a lot of time sitting, even if you're going to walk several times during the week, you would still have better muscles. Muscle strength would be more evenly distributed, or at least you would have more or less similar strength, or at least developing. You wouldn't have too weak muscles and some parts of some muscle bundles being too strong. Yeah. So less chances of you having a disease if you are at least walking several times a week. Now, I can tell you this for sure because there were times when I was doing so much of movementless yoga, I would not move for a long time. And before that, I used to walk for long times. And then I realized I'm so much into research into my movementless yoga that I was not walking. And then I noticed the strength of my muscles. And then when I realized this, I started walking a little. And then I noticed my breath going a little labored when I'm walking. And then my walking strength is not as good as I used to because my calf muscles would just take the weight and then walk. And I was walking slow. Now I have balanced it more. Now I walk long distances, a few kilometers. And it's nice to be good to walking health. I can at least walk. So it's an experience. Even if you're not doing any other exercise, just knowing that you can walk, you would need to have good footwear because otherwise you'll get blisters. Yeah, that's something that I to be paid attention to when you're walking long distances. But otherwise, you at least have the ability to walk. Yeah, I will discover further exercise benefits and then I will talk about it. But I can talk about walking now. Mid thighs. I'm talking about movementless yoga, the benefit of not even moving, yeah, and how you can maintain health with that. So I'm saying my walking strength was less, and I'm saying I was healthy. Yeah, I was not having diseases. I may not have had walking for long distance strength, but in my activities of daily living, I can walk, not having diseases. That is also maintaining health. You may not be able to climb mountains, but you're not having diseases. And that is the minimum benefit of Nirbeeja Yoga. There are other benefits, for example, metabolism. Yeah, what you digest from the basic bare minimum, so to speak, from having a body that's human, you are doing Manushya Dharma. You're not becoming an animal or a microbe or a plant where you kind of have roots growing into the place you're sitting, kind of. You're rooted to the ground or you're rooted to your seat or chair. Not that. Yeah, you're not that kind of a plant. You're not planted there. In that sense, you're maintaining being human. Yeah. So you're not growing roots. But I don't know if that's a case, but it's like you're attached to the place you're sitting in some way. Because if you sit there for too long, you will grow roots. I have no idea. But don't try that out. We don't want to find out ghost stories. Now, but you're not a microbe, you're not an animal, you know you're human, and then you're maintaining being you, not becoming somebody else. Your neighbor or your parents or your relatives or your partner, you're not becoming somebody else other than you. You're maintaining being human and you're maintaining being you. That's bare minimum. Over and above that, can you walk? Can you climb? Can you lift so much weight? Those are over and above the basic bare minimum. Okay. A lot of people have a challenge not knowing that they don't know that they are not maintaining being human or that they're becoming somebody else. The amount of dukkha that people go through in their conscious, subconscious, unconscious, supraconscious processes cannot be said in little words, which is why I have an entire science on what is Nirbeeja Yoga. It's a different philosophy of what is yoga. Yeah, philosophy, science, method, what is yoga. For an example, I invite you to bring your attention to your thighs and in a seated position, which means I request you to sit on a chair such that your ankles can be at 90 degrees to your knees, which can be at 90 degrees to your hips. Okay, I just had a moment. Okay, something just tumbled now. Again, sit on a chair such that your ankles can be at 90 degrees to your knees can be at 90 degrees to your hips. Yeah, and your hips have your vertebral column stacked up, upright, with your head right on top, not leaning back. Okay, so your spine upright. That gives least tension to your hip joints, your knee joints, your ankle joints, and your mid thighs would be experiencing the bare minimum pressure or tension in a seated on a chair position. Okay. Excuse me. So the pressure experienced by your mid thighs would be kind of similar, apparently, across the globe, depending on where you are in your altitude from sea level. Nevertheless, your body may have an experience on your mid thighs, but at least your physiological posture would be having a similar kind of a distributed tension. Yeah, distributed across your joints. Now, gently bring your attention only to the region of your thighs in this posture. Okay, so we are taking away other kinds of pressure in your appreciation of your thighs, and then bringing attention only to the thighs. Any other contributing pressure, we are just reducing them and then paying attention only to the thighs. Now, notice any clothes you're wearing on your thighs. You could even try closing your eyes. If that is scaring you, in the sense you're tending to notice a certain alertness where you're, even with eyes closed, you're tending to watch out for what's around. Are you safe? Then I recommend opening your eyes. But otherwise, if you're in a safe space, the doors of your room are closed. The windows outside do not have terrace, for example, and you're in a safe space, and you can close your eyes, and you won't feel threatened. Then I recommend closing your eyes and paying attention to your thighs. Okay, and otherwise, open your eyes and just don't look at your thighs. And see if you can feel the clothes on your thighs. Okay. Since I don't know where you are sitting, it's a range of experience. So some things you didn't know there was to think about. But if you can feel the clothes on your thighs, consider that you can feel your clothes through the skin of your thighs. Yeah, it's like your skin, if they have hair. Yeah, the hair is feeling the clothes on your thighs. Yeah, but nevertheless, whether or not you have hair on your thighs, your skin is in some way, because of those sensors, feeling the clothes on your thighs. If you can't feel the clothes on your thighs, try and pay attention to any sense of tension in your thighs. That is more likely the muscle bundles, individual or groups of muscle bundles, that you can feel inside your thighs. And that's not all of your thighs. Those are some or more of the parts of your thighs, which means you're more aware of the insides of your thighs than you are of the outsides. And that's something to pay attention to. Those are signals of what signal you're more aware of. Some people may be more aware of the clothes on their thighs than the insides of their thighs, and some are more aware of the insides than the outsides. Okay? And they are all talking about different things. They are talking about different health. For example, your muscle bundles may not have been paid attention to, taken care of in some time, or you have been trekking or doing strenuous exercises through your muscles. And so some muscle bundles are more firmer, a little more denser than other muscle bundles, which means you can exercise some muscles, but not the others. So your thighs are a thick mass of muscles, yeah, compared to your calves or your, say, ankles. The thickness of your thighs would be greater. That is, if you're a moving, mountaineering, or exercising more often, or walking person, or you just tend to have greater weight because of the nature of your job, the nature of your lifestyle, many contributive conditions. And it's not necessarily a disease, it's just your lifestyle. Every person has their own lifestyle, depending on your placement in the whole scheme of things. Could also be that the geography you are in requires you to be a certain composition to maintain health of your and your communities and your geography's health, which is why you are looking the way you are. You have the body composition you have. Now, could also be your job position, hierarchy in the organization you're functioning in, and the kind of tension you maintain or you take care of. So your body is compensating or managing different aspects, physiological needs, stress. And stress is not necessarily a bad thing. Depending on which job position you're in, you require the kind of pressure to maintain that versus somebody else. Yeah. If you're a pillar of a house, the pillar requires to maintain that kind of stress or tension to uphold the building or the structure versus, say, a sidewall versus other functions. So it's not a good or bad thing. It's stress is usually called as a bad thing, but stress is the tension. Yeah. And then there is it too much? Are you stressed more than you need to be? Can you delegate or use other means by which to reduce the stress so you just have just enough stress? That's other things that could be considered if it comes to your attention that you're having more stress than you need to be, optimally need to be. Okay, now, if you can pay attention to the skin or to your muscle bundles or some aspect about your thighs that is more easily available to you, that you can easily feel, consider paying attention to the mid-thigh region. Now, this is the region between the knee joint region, the thigh that is closer to the knee joint versus the thigh joint, the thigh that is closer to the hip joint, the middle region. And try sitting at the edge of your chair such that you're still maintaining the ankles at 90 degrees to knees at 90 degrees to hips. So now you're taking the chair support from underneath your thighs. So your thighs are going to be experiencing more the gravity, the gravitational pull. So only your hip region is touching the edge. You're sitting on a chair, but the mid-thighs are more feeling the weight of gravity. And your knee region, the thighs region, more related with your knees, are having the bony support. So your mid-thigh is more suspended mid-air. Okay? So you'd feel the pressure differently on your mid-thighs than by your hip versus knee region. So you're more likely to feel the lower part of your mid-thighs hanging around loose, okay, than the upper region. Now, this is an awareness exercise to pay attention to where pressure is distributed. How is pressure distributed? In presence of gravity. Gravity is the only thing that's holding your mid-thigh. And so upper part, the muscles of your upper mid-thigh is landing, kind of sitting on your thigh bone, and the lower muscles of your mid-thigh is hanging in the air without a support, without chair support also. Try slightly moving your legs. Can you feel the lower part of your thighs jingly jangly? Yeah? If you can pay, and it's not a good or bad thing. Try relaxing your thighs just move around, such that your mid thighs are not holding on to any muscles. Your knee joint at 90 degrees to your ankle joint is already having the support that is required, structural support. And your upper thigh is supported with your pelvic girdle, and by the chair. So you're already safe. Now try taking off your elbows. If you're keeping your arms on your armrest, if you're resting your elbows on your armrest, take off your elbows and shake it around so that the entire support of your upper body is not even by the armrest, but by the bony structure of your body. And then move your legs. Okay, ankles on the ground, but just shake your knees. Just open and close your knees with your ankles on the ground, your pelvis on the seat, and just open and close your knee joint. That will move your mid thighs, which is unsupported, which is hanging in the air. Yeah, and you'd feel the jingling, kind of a jingly jangly. Yeah, the lower part will be hanging loose. You can feel the muscles of your lower thighs hanging loose. Yeah, like clothes moving about in the wind, so to speak. Yeah, that might relax your thigh muscles. Otherwise, your thigh muscles are always holding up the weight of your body. Even when you're sitting, they are subconsciously, unconsciously, supraconsciously holding on, contracted, never resting. And if any muscle is contracted for a long time without resting, that's one of the contributors of tiredness, exhaustion, and you don't even know where you're exhausted from, why you're exhausted. You're just exhausted. You don't know what all you're doing. It could just be your thighs are subconsciously not resting and holding on to years of experience of you not sitting in this posture and then opening, closing your knees such that your lower part of your muscles can just relax and not keep contracted all the time. You may have not done this in years. So that may be some of the regions where your exhaustion is coming from. Chances are you feel a little sleepy because this is like your thighs are like an engine that has always been working. So now this engine is kind of like in a slumber. Yeah, all the time sitting and working and working. So this is like your car idling a bit. Otherwise, your thighs have been on work all time. And you know how much of power it takes to keep an engine on, even when you don't need to? Have you tried turning on a pump or your computer, even when you don't need to? Do you know how much of power it consumes? You would be paying bill. Here, you may be eating food, yeah, just to maintain your engine power, which you're not using. It is only holding on to because you didn't know you had to rest them. You had to turn them. You can't really turn off. You're alive, but you can rest them, idle. Yeah, they can just be relaxed. And when you need to, it would go from say 10% to 90%. If they're always functioning at 90%, you cannot power up because, well, that's the max you're running at. So you don't have the ability to then scale up because you're running on kind of max power. Yeah. So relax. Try and pay attention to which part of your body is mostly functioning or which part of your body is mostly contracted. Though that contraction may be coming from conscious, subconscious, unconscious, or supraconscious processes, which has just not had the time to relax because you didn't know these parts of your body has always been functioning. In an alive person, they would always be functioning, but they don't have to function 90% all the time or 100% all the time. Man, can you imagine how exhausting it would be? I just give an example. So this is some of the benefits of Nirbeeja Yoga. Now, you're functioning at, this is optimization. So then when you need to then optimize, or say you need to run, you need to dance, you need to lift weight, different life situations. Say women have to go through pregnancy. So then you need to more exercise only those groups of muscles to be able to then be able to carry the weight of a baby, because it doesn't just happen overnight. Yeah. So slowly, according to, if you have to do mountaineering, then you need to slowly build up your muscles so you can then climb a hill. You don't have to work up, so you're all practicing to climb the Himalayas, but all you need to do is to climb the hill. So work up only to so much. Yeah. If you're going to practice to climbing the Himalayas and you climb a hill, you would probably run and climb up the hill. Yeah, while you may leave your group mates say ask you to wait. Yeah, so that's what is just enough, what is appropriate. But exercising and baseline, how do you maintain health? And then what do you need to use your muscle groups for? Yeah. And then accordingly will be how much of food you eat, how much of work you do, what you do, how do you spend your day. You may be exercising, but going nowhere. Yeah. And you may be building power muscles. If you want to look good, and you looking muscular is going to then give you the macho experience, then that's what you're doing through the day. And are you winning at the goal of impressing the ladies? That can be paid attention to. You know, how successful are you about that? So just having macho muscles may not be sufficient to attract the ladies. Um, so it's about how well are you doing what you need to achieve your goals. So that also varies on what are you exercising your muscles for. Yeah. Otherwise, you're holding all big muscles and all dressed up and going nowhere. Yeah. That's also called trauma. All dressed up, going nowhere. Some trauma therapists, they may be working on healing wounds when you don't have a wound. You're just dressed up for um, meeting an objective, but you're not doing enough to meet the objective. Instead, you've started something but not gotten there yet. Yeah. So you may need to look at your daily routine, daily itinerary, and then see what steps you're not doing towards actually getting where you'd like to get to, and to have what you are working out for. Okay. That needs a little chart, a little tracker, and then see to get to, say, a station or a goal, what all needs to be done, and then check your list. If you're still not getting there, you may not have included something in your list because of which you can actually get there. Yeah. All right. So I hope this episode, this session, yeah, has given you some thought lines on what is possible through paying attention to your mid-thighs. Yeah, you've started at the hip region or at the knee region, but you may not have gotten to where you'd like to get to, because the middle zone, the middle ground, is not all that there is. You need to pay attention to your start and your finish and the middle ground. Yeah, to get to where you need to get to. But the middle ground is also important. Yeah. So, thighs. Okay. On that note, I invite we pause a bit. So it may seem like a lot of talk, but the thighs are holding up the story of your life. What you do, how you move, how you sit versus not. So this is not just talk, or you just listening to talk. Your thighs are holding a topography of your life. It's kind of like a map of how your life is. But there are other parts of your body holding other aspects, other necessary maps of your life. But this is just one part of the whole structure, but one part at a time, the topography of your life. Yeah. Now, to improve great life, you would need to pay attention to several details. Now, if you're making notes, that would have additional benefits, because that would then jot down one or two thoughts, which otherwise would be just part of everything that's just going on in your head. Otherwise, you would have caught a comet as it flies. Could be an idea, it could be a bullet point. Catching it, writing it down in a book has more benefits because you would remember something which is better remembered. And then they have benefits from those jotted down points, dashing with other content, and you would have additional benefits. Now, if you just pay attention to your emotional sense, okay, or experiential sense, if you're feeling a little tired, that could also be from you participating in the session. Tiredness is not a bad thing. It's your body being a little more aware of where energy has been invested. And now, from realizing that so much of energy need not have been invested, could be felt as tiredness. Okay? So I invite you to drink some water, sufficient water, because then water helps to dissolve what has been held on to for so long, such that you couldn't reinvest it anywhere else. Yeah? So the water would then help to contain that matter and dissolve those residues such that this energy is now available for reinvesting, or you could invest this space for something else. Yeah? Drink some water. That's also kind of like cultivating your land, but cultivating the space. Yeah. Water has its own benefits. If you're drawn to having some, say, cucumber, tomatoes, carrots, greens, curd, all of them or some of them, there are additional benefits. Yeah. Which is also part of yoga, but look at what are you more drawn to. Yeah. And then if you're tending to just snooze off a bit, take some rest. Your body is reformatting your energy reserves, intelligence, and investments such that you are better processed, reprocessed your information management system in your conscious, subconscious, unconscious, supraconscious processes, such that they are now available for other uses. Yeah. If you're journaling more regularly, just continue doing that. Over time, you'll notice what changes are you noticing in your life from participating in these lives over time. Yeah. From these sessions, listening to what's happening here. If you'd like more specific work, you'd like to work with me one-on-one, then you could contact me on learn.dynamicstillnesses.com. learn.dynamicstillnesses.com. So that's my space. I'm the only one who's putting up content there. So if you're going to contact me, message or any of those details will come to me, my email services. So you would be contacting me essentially. Yeah. I'm a solopreneur. So get the idea. When you send any message, I'm going to be the one who's reading it. Now, if you'd like further details, send DM. If you're watching this from X Spaces, DM me and I'll be able to answer. Well, what else is there? So if you're watching this from Mighty Radio, a podcast, then leave a comment. Yeah. And I will respond. If you're watching this from YouTube, then leave a comment. I'll respond. Then, okay. So I hope this has been of value to you. Take care of yourself. Be aware of your emotional state, your physical experience. Notice what you're tending to do. If you're tending to not do overexertive stuff, then do light stuff. Yeah. If you have to exert yourself, you have to get to work, finish a deadline, then be mindful that you of your internal experience as well as what you need to do, so that you're not unnecessarily taking on too many things and exhausting yourself. Yeah, just do what is necessary and meet the deadlines while you're also taking care of yourself, which means you're aware of your internal space, and your external requirements. Yeah. All right. That's also called balanced awareness. Yeah. So you're not taking on more than you need to. So the stress is managed just enough. Yeah. Thank you so much for your kind interest. I hope this has been of value to you. Good day.